Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to Geeks Not Nerds, the podcast. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Shades at Night.
Shades and I are here once again to do some more X-Men. Today we're going to be watching X2 and doing a commentary podcast. If you haven't watched one of these before, what we do is we talk during the film. We do a podcast while watching the entire movie, and we do it such that you can probably listen to this okay without watching the movie. We'll do our best to give you plenty of context for what we're talking about. And again, this isn't just a straight commentary, it's a podcast. We're going to be talking all the way through, but it's a little more fun if you can watch the movie with us. And so if you have a copy, either on DVD or Blu-ray or however you want to watch it, go ahead and load that up right now. Get your film to timestamp 0, get it already rigged up past the menu, and then hit your play button right there at the very beginning when we are ready to go. Shades, I'm so excited to watch this with you, dude.
Me too. It's been a long time since I've watched this film in its entirety, actually, so this will be fun.
Yeah, I haven't watched it in a good long time either, and I'm trying to think if I've seen this since I did a rewind on it, which was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But never fear, because I know this film pretty well.
Yeah, me too.
But anyway, I can't wait to see what enlightening information you have on this film that I don't know anything about, Shades. I'm sure you know some stuff.
That I do.
All right, here we go. Everybody, go ahead and hit your play button right now. If we still have movies in the 24th century, do you think it'll still be called 20th Century Fox?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm just wondering. Will Captain Picard be watching 20th Century Fox?
It's a good point. I want to say, because I didn't say this on the last one, I really love how the X stays on for a couple of frames longer in the 20th century.
That is cool.
Yeah. I wish they did it in all of the X-Men films, but they stop it after 3.
It's just too cool for those movies.
Yeah, apparently. Like, a lot of things stop after 3. They don't do the, like, the X-Men films for a while had their own, like, James Bond gun barrel sequence where the big X, what is it? It's like the entrance into Cerebro is what it is.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it closes, and they don't do that after 3. So, that's a shame.
Is the monologue, because I just don't remember, is that little voiceover that Patrick Stewart has at the beginning of this, is it the same as the one he says in X-Men?
No, it's different.
Okay.
And I like this one better, actually.
You know what else I like better?
What?
The score.
Oh, this is so great.
I'm so in love with this score. I gotta tell you, I went out and bought the CD the night I saw this the first time. Drove to Walmart specifically so that I could listen to this score again.
That's cool. I actually bought this a couple of months ago because I finally found it. Yeah, I took a listen to it and I just love it.
John Ottman has not done enough scores for movies that I've seen, but I love it. I love the way he scores.
Yeah, me too. Can I ask, what exactly are you seeing right now? Because mine froze for a second.
I'm seeing President Lincoln.
Okay, cool.
So hopefully we're synced up okay.
Yeah, we're fine. Something always makes me laugh about that tour guide. The way she's like, it's one of my favorites. I'm like, thanks, we needed to know.
I love this one. I'm trying to make it personal. This is one of the coolest ways to open a movie I've ever seen.
Yep.
It really is. I remember when I first saw this going, this is not going to be like that first movie, is it? I mean, like, they really, and again, nothing against the first movie. We of course, we talked all about it. I like it quite a bit, but, like, they did a really good job making this not feel like it was just going to be that movie again. You know, it's like, we've moved on, we're doing this different kind of thing, and it's got this really bold energy that first movie didn't have.
Yeah, exactly. And I never had thought that they did Nightcrawler in such a unique way that made so much sense. Just like his powers, I mean. The smoke and everything, it works perfectly.
Yeah, and how amped up is it that your first major sequence is in the freaking White House?
Yeah.
Attacking Secret Service guys.
Yeah, and it's Nightcrawler doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It really feels like Bryan Singer going, let's give the fans something they love to see.
Yeah, exactly.
Nightcrawler attacking people in the White House. Who wouldn't want to watch that? So cool. And of course, we're gonna have a good reason for it, and, it's gonna make sense. But right now, we don't care why he's doing it.
Yeah.
We're just going, what? What?
Yeah. I mean, look at this opening compared to the opening of X-Men 1. And I love the opening of X-Men 1 with the camp. But like you said, this just has a completely different energy. And, you can already tell it's a darker film in some ways.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think in some ways you can tell this film is slightly more darker in where it's going to go. Or at least, no, dark is the wrong term, because the opening of X-Men 1 is very dark. But, I think this just feels more serious to me. Something about this.
I agree. Well, I think it feels like it's going to have more weight for the actual story of the film.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Because the opening of X-Men 1 is a flashback, so I mean, like, there's not immediately a lot at stake for the story. It's setting up what the themes are going to be, and this isn't setting up themes so much as reminding us of what the theme of all these movies is.
Yeah.
When he stabs the desk and it says mutant freedom now, this is how amped up things have gotten. And by the way, how classy is it to open your film with Mozart's Requiem during a fight sequence?
Oh, I know, yeah.
Good stuff.
It's so great.
Hey, I'm gonna ask you a question right away.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yep.
We're gonna do some trivia during this movie, because this movie has more good trivia questions than X1 did, from my trivia book that I'm working on and haven't put out yet. I wanted to ask you this before we got to it, because it's kind of early in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what book Magneto is reading when we first see him in his plastic prison?
Once a Future King.
Oh, well done. Well done. I'm impressed. And so quick.
And did you know that that's also referenced at the end of the film by Xavier?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wolverine has such a big cigar. I love that cigar. You know how things are always like, look smaller on film? I always wonder if, like, they have to use way bigger props for things like that.
I hadn't thought of that. I haven't experienced that myself working in films, but that's interesting.
I know that Patrick Stewart directed an episode of Next Generation once in the 7th season where he needed a whole bunch of cake. Because Deanna Troi in a dream sequence Data was having was supposed to be a cake. And he got the prop cakes together. I mean, I think they were real cakes, and they put together her body, but he couldn't make it look big enough on camera. So he had to get as much cake as he could find everywhere.
That's awesome.
And so it was just absurd, but it looked good on camera.
Something interesting about this scene. Earlier you might have noticed that Wolverine's hair was kind of different to what it is just there. And Hugh Jackman was already filming Van Helsing when they decided they kind of needed that shot of him walking up to Alkali Lake. And so, in Van Helsing, he has long hair. So they had to stuff all of his hair under his Wolverine wig.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's funny. Because that's also at the very end of the film when Scott, and Xavier in that classroom. You'll also notice that his hair is just different. So
Shades, is this kid with the tongue supposed to be somebody?
No. I don't think so.
Is that just some mutant?
Yeah, he's named Artie or something like that, so he's not anyone from the comics. I remember when I saw a trailer and I thought, like, is he like young Toad or something? And no. So it's weird.
Do you know where Femke Jensen is from?
She is Dutch.
Because she sometimes breaks in and out of an accent a little bit.
I haven't noticed that, but she's Dutch, I believe.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But that might explain it. Or it might just be me, but I've noticed the beginning of this movie, in this scene, there's a place where I always notice it, where she seems to not have her regular American accent.
Mm.
And I think she does it once or twice in the first movie, too.
I haven't noticed that. That's interesting. I noticed when Jackman's accent drops, actually.
Oh, I've never caught that.
In this film, actually, the first line he has is, "You missed me, kid?" I'm like, that was very Australian, Hugh.
Yeah. He said, well, I've been traveling and I picked it up.
He also calls Storm, Storm, not Storm. It's funny. In the first one, when he's working out the names, just before he says, "What do they call you? Wheels?"
I'm glad you distinguished that, Shane, since you have an Australian accent. Because when you said he called Storm, I was like, well, of course he did.
Yeah, he said Storm as opposed to using his R's, because we don't do that in Australia.
Right. You guys are more sophisticated.
This scene, when I first saw this, it cracked me up so much. We suddenly cut to these guys going, "Yeah, why are you being such a word I can't say on this channel? Why are you being such a Grayson?" And
right, such a Grayson.
Yeah, and it's so funny. And then there's this guy staring down like Rogue's top. It's just like, what is this? It just does not seem like something that should be in an X-Men film, but it's such a great introduction to Pyro.
I'm going to say something that you probably never thought of before, and this is not a slight against the movie at all, but the first time I saw this, and it's always stuck in my head, something about the way this scene is lit, it always, especially this part right here when he says, "That's real cute, man," and then they have like the cut to him blowing out the smoke, it feels like a PSA against cigarettes.
Don't smoke, kids.
It looks like a PSA against cigarettes from the 90s.
That's funny, yeah. Now, did you know that all of these people here are actually mimes?
They're all mimes?
Well, they're all people who can stand incredibly still.
Yeah. Well, and it's really impressive that they were able to get so many different people of different ages that all look different.
Yeah.
They're all capable of doing this.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, where did they find them?
Especially the kids. I'm like, what kid can stand still for that long?
Yeah, it looks great.
I mean, if I was a kid in an X-Men film, I'd be, like, shaking.
And there are a couple places where you can kind of see a person move.
Oh, yeah?
But it's not bad, I mean.
Yeah. I love this guy who can... who can, like, move side to side when a kid pushes his head.
Yeah. Oh, now you're a couple seconds ahead of me, Shane.
Oh, am I? Okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
I paused it and played it again, so hopefully I'll be more synced up now.
Hopefully so. Well, we'll do our level best. It'll be close.
I think a couple of seconds isn't going to throw anybody off, but
hopefully not. Hopefully not. We apologize if it does.
Yeah, I love how Cyclops just like, here. In my opinion, Magneto's behind this.
Yeah, that's so funny.
And it's like, no, I don't think so, Scott.
Yeah, don't you say that all the time? I'm imagining that he said that 5 times before this movie began. Yeah. Where it's like they're watching the news, like an ice cream truck gets like ripped off.
They should start like every X-Men movie like that.
I think Magneto's behind it.
There is in this room.
Or like if they kill them off in a movie, and then later on Cyclops is like, I think Magneto's behind it. He's dead, dude.
After Cyclops is dead as well, he's just like, I think Magneto's behind this. What are you doing here?
His Storm's like, you know what Cyclops would say right now. He'd say Magneto's behind it. Stryker is probably one of my very favorite villains of any movie ever.
I was just about to say, how much do you love Brian Cox as Stryker?
I love Brian Cox in everything.
Oh yeah, me too. He's a fantastic actor.
He's a wonderful actor. He's really great. By the way, he's one of the best actors in Hollywood for accents.
Oh, is he? I didn't know that.
So good. Well, he's doing. I've heard him do different things. Here, he's doing this kind of Southern accent. That's not his normal voice.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
I think I've heard him do British before.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed on the DVD he had a very neutral accent, and I went, oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, he's really good at going at doing different accents, but I love him in this movie, and he's got such a presence, and he's really frightening because he believes in his own crazy talk so much.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was the first actor to actually play Hannibal Lecter.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, before Anthony Hopkins played him in Silence of the Lambs. And this is actually the movie that Singer saw where Singer wanted to cast him in X-Men, was a movie called Manhunter, I believe.
Well, I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah. So he was, I might be wrong in saying that he's the first, but he played Hannibal Lecter before Anthony Hopkins did.
One of my favorite lines in the whole movie is when Brian Cox says, "It comes up out of the basketball court."
Me too. It's so great.
I don't know why, but just the way he delivers that. Like, yeah. There it is. It comes up out of the basketball court. Like, in the script, that probably isn't that big of a deal, but the way he delivers it, it's like... It's like the president goes, "Oh my god, we're in a comic book movie. I didn't realize that."
Yeah. It's funny, because it's such an X-Men thing. Like, yeah, the jet comes up out of the basketball court. And, because in the animated show, it always used to come out of a mountain. And I like that
yeah, that's so 60s too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And while I think of it, while she's on screen here, I really love Kelly Hu as Deathstrike.
Yeah, I think she does a great job. Obviously, the character's a lot different.
She is different, but because she's kind of mainly a voice actress these days, even though
That's so interesting. I don't think I've ever heard her talk.
Oh, she is in what film is it? It's really it's Batman Under the Red Hood.
Who is she in that?
She is the assistant to Black Mask.
No, really? Is that who that is?
Yeah, and she's dressed in exactly what she's wearing in this scene.
She looks just like that. That's awesome. Yeah. I didn't know that's who that was.
Yeah, I love
that character.
She's wearing a gray suit and everything. It's so fun.
By the way, how hilarious is Black Mask in that?
Oh, he's so good. And that actor, not to get off topic too much, but that actor, Wade Williams, is also in Dark Knight Rises for like 1 minute.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's one of the guards that is escorting Selena Kyle to her cell.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think he's the guy that's like, she'll be fine. Yeah. Because I think he's known for being in Prison Break, I'm not sure. But yeah, he's so...
Shades, how bad do you want one of these hoodies with the X logo on it?
There's so much of this stuff that I want, actually. Like, just the little things that they wear. Like, it's almost like a...
Oh, you're right. There's that line.
Yeah.
When he says, did you miss me, kid? He does sound pretty Australian there.
Yeah, I'm sorry I talked over it.
I agree with you.
Yeah. I love Iceman here as well. Just freeze the hell out of his hand. And because Halle Berry was kind of being known as an attractive woman at this time, let's put her in the tightest clothes we possibly can.
Even though that's not Storm at all.
Yep.
Shades, are you ready for another question?
Yes, I am.
All right, Shades. Which of the following known comic book mutants is not on the dossier list Mystique pulls up on Stryker's computer?
Okay.
Remy LeBeau, Kevin McTaggart, Danielle Moonstar, or Wade Wilson?
I know that it stops on Remy LeBeau. What were there was Wade Wilson, who?
Kevin McTaggart, and Danielle Moonstar.
Who? Am I incorrect?
You cut out. I didn't hear you.
Oh, is it Moonstar?
No, it's Wade Wilson.
Really?
He's not there.
He was one of the people on there. Okay.
Nope.
Huh. I thought I had read somewhere that he was. Okay.
At least not according to the last time I watched this and pulled this down.
Okay. Because, I mean, I've never stopped and read it because it's so tiny that I could never properly read it. But
Right.
But there's one...
I'll definitely check it again to make sure I'm right, but that's what I have written down.
Interesting. And I just have to say this.
Yeah.
This guy right here, playing Mr. Lorio, You know that he was the villain in the second episode of Arrow, right?
Yep, he sure was.
Yeah, as soon as I saw him, I was like, Mr. Lorio!
Eric pointed it out to me because I didn't notice it the first time. He's lost so much weight.
Yeah, well, he actually put on weight for this role, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on the commentary with Bryan Singer, and the director of photography, Thomas Newton, I think his name is. They were like, when they cast him, they were like, could you actually get kind of bigger? Because we want you to be a chubby police officer, or a chubby security officer. And he was like, you mean I can just want for a role? That's awesome.
That's funny.
Yeah. And they put him in the tightest fitting clothes, like Storm, but for a different reason.
It's really interesting, how that guy is kind of, it seems at first like kind of a bit part, but he's in a lot of scenes.
He is, yeah.
It's hard not to talk about his performance because he's kind of a presence.
Yeah, I mean, he gets beaten up by Cyclops, he gets drugged and makes out with Mystique, he gets killed by Magneto. He does a lot in this film. And he also hits Magneto in the face, so there you go.
I love that Picard's first line in this is threatening to make Wolverine a 6-year-old girl.
Did you just call him Picard?
That's great. Did I say Picard?
Yep.
I meant Xavier.
I love Jackman's reaction there as well.
I'm just going to do that the whole movie and just drive you crazy.
I love Jackman putting the cigar out. It's just like, ah.
Yeah, I like that too. That giant cigar, the giant prop cigar.
I love Cerebro in these films.
Me too.
And he's only in
it's
two.
Cooler in this one.
Yeah, I loved the effect they did in one, where you actually saw the people. But I love this as well.
And it doesn't feel inconsistent at all.
No, it doesn't. They feel like the same machine. You only saw him use Cerebro once, so in the first film, and it serves a different purpose in this one. So,
Shades, if I ever have more money than I know what to do with, I'm going to put a Cerebro room in my house.
What a big round room.
You're like, what are you doing here? If you must know, I sit in this chair and I pretend like I can read people's minds.
That's awesome.
There's really not much else to do in here. We tried projecting movies, but it's just weird.
Yeah, they turn out like really lopsided because of the big round room. I also love the score that Ottman did to accompany the Cerebro. It's really, really cool.
I think the music of this movie has a lot to do with why it made such an impression on me.
Yeah.
Not that it's not a great script, too, but...
Yeah. I mean, it's
just quite an ambiance here, all the way through.
Yeah, for sure.
Shades, I'm going to have a tough time sitting here talking. I want to watch this.
It's funny because I'm watching it without audio just because I know it pretty well, and so it's funny just watching this and I just know what they're saying. It's funny.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm listening to
like
it too.
Being very familiar with the films that I edit with, so by just. Comes with the job description, I guess, of knowing these films pretty well when you're doing fan trailers, but
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I get to know them better just by, pulling footage or screenshots one time, on a reel. So I imagine when you're going through them like that all the time.
Yeah. I just did a trailer, and by the time people see this, it probably would have been up for a little while, but I did a trailer today about the Iron Patriot, because...
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I absolutely love the Iron Patriot, as, when Norman Osborn's the character, and we're getting him in Iron Man 3, so, and obviously not Norman, still we're getting the suit.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a trick, wouldn't it?
Yeah. He was actually Defoe the whole time.
Oh, man.
That would
be the best reveal ever.
That would blow my mind.
So I really like that Mystique gets so much more to do in this movie.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, and it's consistent with the first one in that she still doesn't get a lot to say. She's still really, soft-spoken.
Yeah.
By the way, I gotta say this real quick. I said earlier that the last time I watched this was when I reviewed it, but that doesn't make sense because I wrote questions for it. So I must have watched this at least a year ago.
I'm thinking about it. I probably saw it like 3 years ago, to be honest.
Wow.
It's been like I said, from start to finish. It's the last time I watched it, but I watch little parts of it all the time, I guess.
Wow, Mystique, that's amazing. You can change the shape of your throat without changing the rest of your body in order to say people's. That's amazing.
Even their voice.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
I wish I could do that.
I have a trivia question for you. Do you know who one of the guards was that popped up there?
No, I didn't.
Bryan Singer.
Ah, that's funny.
He wheels Xavier in later. When Xavier's gonna go, oh, by the way, just all those little folders there. I love that Omega Red and Project Wide Awake are 2 of them.
Oh, wow. I need to watch this again and write more questions, it looks like. God, there's a lot in this.
Yeah.
I'm writing things down right now. Bryan Singer is a guard.
Yeah. When they...
Stuff on computer.
Yeah, on Wikipedia, they used to have everything that was on Stryker's computer, and I just looked it up, and it wasn't there anymore. Because
they must have decided that was too much information.
Yeah, apparently. That's why I was almost certain that Deadpool was one of them, because I thought I'd read it there, but of course, Wikipedia can be wrong. But yes.
And it is sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, so, and the one line that Deathstrike has is coming up.
Oh, I forgot she said anything.
What are you doing here? I think she says.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if she
as a guard.
Wonder if she practiced that in the mirror.
Well, it's like Mystique only had one line in the first one.
Hey, Shades, being an actor yourself, do you find that it's harder to do a role with a whole bunch of dialogue, or harder to do a role with almost none? And what I mean by that second part is if it's like a major role where you're not just standing there as an extra, like you actually have things to do but you don't talk.
Yeah. Say if a role like Deathstrike, you mean?
Right.
I don't know, because there's so much dialogue helps you, help your character grow. You learn so much from what your character says, from the way their dialogue is written. You figure out how this person speaks and how they look at the world, even from the smallest lines. You can learn so much about their upbringing and anything by how their character's written, in dialogue and the way they speak. So, I will say it's a lot more fun to have a character grow when you have dialogue, cause you can, do what you want with what is on the page, dialogue wise. I'd imagine it would be a lot harder, actually, to not have dialogue. But, you wouldn't have to learn lines, so that would be a time saver. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't really experienced that myself.
Okay.
Like a film this long, and you're a principal character and have one line of dialogue. I could not imagine that, but I'd imagine it'd be pretty cool.
It seems to happen in a lot of superhero films. Have you noticed this?
Oh yeah.
Seems like this is the genre that gets it a lot.
Yeah, especially X-Men. X-Men's the one that gets it. Mystique in the first one, and Toad and
everybody that's a villain and not Magneto in that film.
Exactly, yeah, Sabretooth as well. And and Deathstrike gets it in this one.
And Mystique gets it some here too. I mean, she gets a lot more to do, and she doesn't. It's not like she has pages of dialogue.
No, true. Yeah, she has. Dialogue.
She talks, but she still has to be a presence just on screen.
Yeah.
Hey, how do you feel about Nightcrawler's makeup in this? Because I'm in the camp that loves it.
Oh, I'm in the camp that loves it too. And we get a reason for it, so.
Yeah, and I think it's a pretty cool reason. I don't know if it's comic book.
It's not comic book. And it's funny, in the comic books it kind of, depending on the writer, it sometimes has depended on whether he has blue skin or it's blue fur.
Yeah.
But I think since this movie it's always been blue skin.
I do think that it's really unfortunate that we don't have enough of a hint of whether or not he and Mystique are supposed to be related. Because when we get them in a scene later, it's like, okay, well, they went out of their way to put them in a scene together.
They put them in a scene together purely for fan service. And not fan service in the pandering way. It's meant to be like, yeah, they're both in this film, we acknowledge that.
Yeah. But that's what's frustrating about it, is that you don't know.
Fair enough. I also found that with Mystique and Rogue in the first one.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's that one moment, and I forgot to mention, I meant to mention the commentary on X-Men 1, but when she's in the boat, and just before Magneto does that big speech to her about he first saw the Statue of Liberty when it was first built, and because Mystique is driving the boat, she comes into that room where Rogue is, and they stop and they look at each other for like a good 3 seconds, and then they move on. And I was like, I wonder if that was referencing anything, but who knows?
This little flashback where Wolverine is remembering a little bit of Weapon X is really important for why Origins doesn't work.
He will have no memory.
He will have no memory. Over and over and over again.
Yeah.
He will have no memory because Stryker will shoot him with a bullet later on.
Yeah, because adamantium can penetrate adamantium. That makes total sense.
That makes total sense.
And I want to say right now that I actually like Origins more than most, but...
Yeah, but that's so dumb.
It does bother me that because it's set up so perfectly in this. I love it.
Shades, this kid that doesn't sleep and blinks and changes TV channels, who is he?
Good question.
Oh, you don't know who he is?
He's not anyone from the comics.
He's not. Okay, I always wondered about that.
He's in X-Men 3, for like one scene. He blinks on the TV that Moira's on, where she's talking about the guy that doesn't have a conscience.
Yeah.
And it's funny because 3 years have passed, so he's so much older. But whereas, like, for example, Shawn Ashmore doesn't seem to age. But I love that he's eating ice cream in this scene as well. That's so.
Yeah, that is funny. I never thought of that.
He's got to eat something cold. It's so good. And here we have the soda for
What is Iceman eating?
The best.
I'm sorry, you cut out. What was that?
Dr. Pepper is the soda for superheroes.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Man, me and Dan were making fun of that in Spider-Man 3 and Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I know. That's because I just watched it last night and I was like,
oh
you're
yeah.
right. And Bryan Singer was just there, by the way.
Oh, that was Bryan Singer. Okay.
Yeah. I love the line, "Nice shades, thanks."
I like Cyclops in that coat. He looks really cool.
I have always said that, and I bought a coat just like that because of it.
Of course you did, and you probably have You probably have glasses that look like his too, right?
Kind of. I haven't been able to find any red ones, but I have hair that look just like the ones that he has, but they're yellow. I'm like, this doesn't work at all. But...
Well, they're Cyclops' anti-Green Lantern glasses. You know, if he ever has to fight an evil Green Lantern from pre-Crisis, he'll be ready to go.
Sinestro just happened to, to make him a yellow lantern. It was great.
Yeah, it was really nice of him.
Thanks.
He's
Sinestro.
Such a good guy. Thanks, Sinestro.
What a pal.
Man, we shared one beer together, and you're giving me presents.
Here is your visor of fear.
Of fear!
Yeah. Now, there is a whole bunch of backstory here with Xavier helping Stryker that is also contradicted in the prequels, because
what contradicts it? I forget now.
Well, you see Jason Stryker on ice in Origins.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the film, you have Patrick Stewart as Xavier finding Hobbs and Emma Frost. So, as it is, it's fine that you can ignore Wolverine for that stuff. Although in saying that, if they were completely ignoring Wolverine, and that's why Emma Frost was in First Class, Cyclops should have been there as well. But anyway.
Fair enough.
It's just it's way too convoluted to even try and wrap my mind around. But yeah.
Now, Jason Stryker is a comic book character, right?
He is, but he's not. They did a lot different with him in this. Because this film is inspired by the comic God Loves, Man Kills by Chris Claremont.
Oh, tell me about that. What happens in that?
Basically the same sort of thing, in that Stryker basically separates the X-Men, and they have to work on their own sort of thing. And it's really interesting. I haven't read it in a really long time, but villain. And of course, Stryker in the comics is a reverend and a priest, not an army general.
But it's a change that works fine.
It's a change that makes total sense and works. And yeah, like based on the characters that are in this film, like Nightcrawler, he has a big presence in God Loves, Man Kills. And
I just gotta say real quick, we're about to get Magneto's best line. There it is.
Oh.
You should have killed me when you had the chance.
So good.
Oh, I love it.
And I love this scene. Cyclops is just so awesome.
I love how remorseful Magneto is about giving up the school.
Yeah.
He never would have done that. And I mean, like, what's great about that is you got to put yourself back in 2003 when this was released, and how we hadn't had a lot of superhero movies yet, and something we hadn't really seen before was the villain that was the villain last movie, but he's not the villain this movie.
Yeah. They tried it with Fantastic Four, and it just didn't work.
Oh, no, it didn't work at all. And that was post this.
It was, yeah. And it's also Fox, you know.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, so I just want to say real quick as well. There's so much more to that scene with Cyclops beating up the guards. They actually released action figures of Cyclops holding those, like, plastic batons. And,
oh, yeah?
Yeah, and you don't see him use them in the film. When Deathstrike is getting up, you see him drop them. So they apparently, like, cut out this big chunk of it.
I just noticed something watching this with subtitles that I never had caught before, and that is that kid that stays up watching TV. Mm-hmm. He's watching this nature show about centipedes.
Yep.
And as these guys are coming into the school, the show is talking about these centipedes coming in and killing other insects. And it's talking about how the babies can't see them coming.
Huh.
Really cool.
That is very cool. There's a lot of neat parallels. Like, I think Once a Future King I've never read that, but apparently it parallels X-Men quite nicely.
Parallels and foreshadows all at once.
Yeah.
This movie has such why I love it so much is that it has so much command of what it's doing.
Yeah.
So much command of the storytelling.
Yeah. And do you know who that mutant is that's screaming?
I want to say Siren?
Yeah. The daughter of Banshee.
Which is ex-girlfriend of Deadpool, right?
I don't read enough Deadpool, maybe. I'm not sure.
I think that was the girl that Deadpool dated in his early run, which I just finished reading.
Okay. I'm not a big Deadpool fan at all, so I honestly wouldn't know. But...
Well, I'm not either, but someone sent it to me and I read it.
Fair enough.
And I did enjoy it.
I love how Wolverine's just about to slice the crap out of some people. And here comes an awesome cameo. Da-da-da-da, Colossus.
Yeah, but it's only sort of a cameo, right? I mean, like, because he comes in again later.
No, he's only in this scene.
Is he only in the scene?
Yeah, I mean,
I thought we saw him at the end of the movie when all the kids get rescued.
No, the end of the movie coming into the classroom when Xavier's about to teach them about Once a Future King. But he's
Oh,
not...
really?
Sorry.
Okay. I really thought he was there when the kids got rescued. Okay.
No, he helps a whole bunch of kids escape. So, like, escape the mansion, so they don't get caught.
Oh, so that's right. That's right. I forgot about that.
But yeah, I like how there was almost going to be a team up there of Colossus and Wolverine. I liked that. That's a nice nod. Actually, no, that hasn't happened yet. That's about to happen. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just thinking, like, no, I didn't see that yet.
Man, I'm not good at this commentary. I just want to watch this movie. When we get done, Shades, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna watch this movie.
Fair enough. It's a good movie. I often say that this and Batman Begins are kind of my two favorite superhero movies, and I still do like this more than Avengers, and that's not me saying that Avengers is bad, ladies and gentlemen. Because I've gotten a bit of that lately, but I'm it depends on what you like when you're a comic book fan. And I like
Shades, I don't know if I can put this above Avengers, and I love Avengers.
That's the thing. I'm a bigger X-Men fan than I am an Avengers fan. So.
Well, and I love it and I'm not a big Avengers fan. It's just I love those characters together.
Sure.
But it doesn't have the emotional weight for me that this story does.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's an extremely fun, entertaining film, but I mean, like, it doesn't have a ton of emotional weight to it. It's not trying to.
Yeah.
It definitely has some, but this thing gets pretty involved.
Yeah.
With the complexities of racism and what it does to people. And I mean, what I love about Stryker so much is that I understand why he does what he does.
Yeah. And the best villains, you do understand why they do what they do. Like, at least the most interesting ones, I think.
He has that in common with Magneto, and he's almost more interesting to me than Magneto in that way. Is that he's a human that I understand why he treats mutants the way he does. I get it. And you get a lot of humans that hate mutants in X-Men comics that seem to just kind of be bigots.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy isn't like that,
Yeah. It's interesting how he actually parallels Magneto. He's the opposite of Magneto in what he's targeting. Like, Magneto would love it if humans were no longer around.
Yeah, exactly.
At least in the movie Magneto, not necessarily comic book Magneto, because obviously today he's Cyclops' right-hand man, which I love. So I like how the movie versions of Stryker and of Magneto beautifully parallel each other.
Well, they're very much two sides of the same coin, right? Because if they look at each other as different species, humans hurt Magneto and mutants hurt Stryker, and so they each want the other side destroyed.
Yeah.
And you understand why they do, and what makes them so scary is that they oversimplify everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was individuals that hurt each of them.
Yeah.
And they target everybody.
Yeah.
What's really interesting about Magneto having the background with Nazis is the fact that that's a more complicated thing even more, because that was humans that also hated other humans.
Yeah. And
and mutants.
Exactly, yeah.
It's more complicated.
Yeah.
Than that.
And did you know that they actually built a wall of ice this film?
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. And they actually blew it up.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did that without damaging this space.
Yeah, because they do not own this. This is an actual...
Can you imagine that phone call? You mind if we explode a block of ice inside your building? Like, what? Why do you need to do that? Well, we can't tell you, but just understand that we've got this character that can make giant ice walls.
Yeah. This is Cyclops' car, and apparently the key to Cyclops' car is Wolverine's claw.
Yeah, I don't really know how that works.
Yeah, neither do I.
I'm pretty sure that would just ruin the console.
Yeah. I don't think the car would be able to start anymore.
I'm going to hotwire a car with my claws by jamming them into where the key goes.
Yeah.
That'll work.
That's a superpower for you.
Now, we're going to have a thing in this car where I think it's maybe a little bit later, but where somebody turns on a radio.
Yeah.
And I don't care for the fact that they felt the need to put a Backstreet Boys song in there.
It's actually NSYNC.
Or is it NSYNC? I forgot which boy band it was. What I don't like about it is that we talked a lot in the first X-Men movie about how there weren't a lot of cultural things that dated it.
The funny thing is that NSYNC were popular in like 1999 and 2000. They weren't even popular in 2003.
I know that, but it still dates it. I mean, that's only 3 years before that. It puts it in a period. You see what I'm saying?
It puts it in. Yeah, you're right. It's just weird that they didn't even choose something that was annoying in 2003. They chose something that was annoying to people in the late 90s.
No, that's absolutely true. Yeah.
And like, I will admit this on YouTube, I listened to NSYNC when I was a child. So like, actually, while I think of it, that's the Danger Room right there. Where
oh, was it?
Yeah, it says Danger on the door. So.
All right then.
Yeah, not that we ever see it, but.
Yeah, I'm like, that's really impressive. There, Shades. They knew how to label a door.
Well, originally,
I know there was supposed to be a scene with it.
Yeah, because the teaser trailer for this movie all takes place in the Danger Room.
Oh, does it? I don't think I've ever seen that teaser.
Yeah, it's kind of rare these days to. It just kind of it's this voiceover of a regular trailer voiceover guy talking about after saving it's something about after they've saved humans, now one of them is going to extract huge vengeance or something silly like that. And as the camera's like traveling through these like moving panels on a floor and stuff like that, and it's yeah.
Can you still find that trailer?
You can, yeah, it's on YouTube.
Okay. To go look for that.
Now,
that's why I have you around, Shades. You tell me all about all these amazing things that I didn't know about. Oh, there's Hank McCoy.
There's Hank McCoy, and he's talking to Sebastian Shaw.
Talking to Sebastian Shaw.
And there is the lovely Rebecca Romaine.
Out of makeup.
Yeah, apparently this was her favorite day of shooting.
Oh, it must have been, because she didn't have to put all that on.
Yeah. I do like how her dress looks like Mystique's scales, though. That is
pretty cool. I think she's a pretty good actress.
I think she's very good. Yeah, I like her. She's really funny as well. One of my favorite episodes of Friends is the one that she's in.
Oh, I didn't know she was in a Friends episode. That's funny.
Yeah. I have a nice piece of trivia about this bathroom here.
Ah.
This was originally built for X-Men 1.5. They were going to shoot these scenes that they couldn't shoot when they were shooting the movie. And they were going to do origins for Cyclops and Storm. And the origin for Cyclops was going to be that he was at his school prom. And he was in the bathroom and he was looking in the mirror, and then his powers turned on. And so they built this bathroom for that, but they didn't get to shoot it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they instead used it for this. So it came in handy, but
I guess so.
Yeah. Mystique just pumps his butt full of metal.
That is maybe the most obscure piece of trivia I've ever heard. I can't believe you knew that.
Yeah. I know random things about this film.
Man, Stryker looks really creepy in silhouette.
Oh, yeah.
Like, silhouette doesn't always work these days because we're not used to seeing it as much.
Yeah.
But, like, sometimes you can pull it off, especially when you got a guy like that.
Yeah, and he's in silhouette a few times in this film.
And plus, it makes sense in this lighting. Like, it doesn't look like, oh, we're putting him in silhouette because we're trying to hide him. No, we know what he looks like. It's just, he stands in places in shadow, and I could make up something about, like how it, has to do with his character and all that, but it's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's a poorly lit room, and not in a bad filmmaking sense. That's just the room, and it really works here. What worked about this silhouette earlier in the scene was that you could still kind of see his face, so it was creepy as hell. And I like his explanation here. It's really cool.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the most important scenes in the film.
Yeah. And
it's heartbreaking to see a man do this to his own son.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. And what's also terrifying is how he's manipulating the government.
Yeah.
That's definitely something worth talking about. Xavier has this line just now where he says, you arranged the attack on the president, and he got the president to let him do all this.
Yeah.
He's manipulated everything.
The president gave him the okay to invade the X-Men mansion. Like, wow.
I mean, it makes him more frightening for a while than Magneto, not just because he was able to control Magneto, but also because his stature in the government allows him to pull off stuff that Magneto never could.
Yeah.
And of course they have different goals. But, imagine if Magneto could somehow or rather gain control of part of the government. And also, let's keep in mind, come to think of it, that he tries to with Mystique.
Yeah, he does.
Because he's got her in there still pretending to be the senator.
Yeah, Mystique's pretending to be Senator Kelly.
Senator Kelly. Yeah. So she's doing the same thing that Stryker is, but he's better at it.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, I'm not sure how much time has passed between X-Men 1 and 2, and that's what I like about it. It's not like it's random. Before we started this call, we were talking about how, before we started recording, we were talking about how there are parallels between the Spider-Man trilogy and the X-Men trilogy.
Sure.
And something that does not parallel is that X-Men 1, 2, and 3, you don't know how much time has passed, but for whatever reason, Spider-Man felt like they needed to have Spider-Man 1 and 2 actually be 2 years apart, like when the films were released. And then Spider-Man 3 comes along, which is 3 years after Spider-Man 2, and they act like it's like the next month.
Yeah. That's a great point. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. I mean, well, they act like it's the next month, except, suddenly Peter Parker's going to propose to Mary Jane after she just ran out of a wedding. But,
that's hilarious.
But anyway.
But you do get the sense that this film can't have been too long after the first X-Men.
No, exactly.
I mean, you're right. It's a bit ambiguous, but it can't be any more than 6 months to a year because, Scott's got that line at the beginning to Jean Grey about how she hasn't really been the same since Alkali Lake. Or not Alkali Lake, since the island.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
Since Liberty Island. And so, if her powers and everything have been that wonky that long, wouldn't that kind of exposition have been a bit stilted if it's been very long at all, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For him to suddenly go, you've been like this since Liberty Island. And then, but if this were the real world and it was very long after, she'd be like, yeah, that happened like 3 years ago, Scott.
Yeah. You're only bringing this up now?
Why are you only just talking about this? And also keep in mind that, with this scene right here, we've got Bobby and Rogue trying to kindle this romance and trying to make kissing work.
Yeah.
That's a scene that would have happened a lot earlier if this happened very much later.
Yeah, exactly. There was more Dr. Pepper in that fridge there as well.
Good call.
Yeah.
Wouldn't Wolverine had just gone crazy if he'd opened that fridge and all there was Dr. Pepper again? He would have just lost his mind.
Where am I? Joe's Pizza? Come on.
I like the cat licking the claws. I think it's hilarious. But I also have always thought that things like that are always ruined by trailers.
First
because that was all over the trailers.
Yeah, it's funny because I saw like the trailer once for this.
Oh, okay.
And I just thought that part was so funny, but I'd forgotten about it when we got to the film.
I don't know if you know the Shades, I worked in a movie theater when this movie came out.
I knew you worked at a movie theater. I didn't know when this came out. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was when this came, it was senior year of high school. This came out in 2003. I saw this in the theater 5 times. Because I loved it, and it was free.
Well, that's a good reason.
And I still go to movies more than once when I really love them sometimes. But this one, I after work, I just kept going. Maybe I saw it even more than that. I forget now. And anyway, because I was working in a theater, I saw that trailer a bazillion times.
Yeah. Well,
I also saw Daredevil in the theater a bunch of times.
Really, I saw that once.
Because I worked there.
Watching Daredevil in the cinema was actually the first time I saw Daredevil. Comics, cartoons, everything.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like my dad.
A lot of people then.
Yeah, my dad read a lot of Stan Lee comics growing up. X-Men was one of them, and Daredevil was one of them. So when there was a Daredevil movie, my dad was like, "Oh, yeah, you'll really enjoy this if you love Spider-Man and X-Men, and you've taken to Marvel so much, you'll love this." I was like, "Who is he?" My dad was like, "Well, he's a blind superhero." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it. And
isn't that like such a big like mind freak when you first find out about it?
Yeah, for sure. But
let me ask you a question: do you buy that you could suck metal out of a person like this and create like these giant like metal ball things? And the discs? Like, it just doesn't seem like there's that much metal there. I was wondering about that.
I had never thought of that. It doesn't bother me. Yeah, I don't know. I love this shot here of the plastic prison falling apart.
Oh, it's great.
Walking forward. But, yeah, I'd never thought of that.
I just always wondered about it. Because, see, look, we see one small one get that, and I'm just like, really? Is there that much metal there?
Well, I don't know, maybe if you flatten it out. It
must be paper thin!
Well, yeah, I don't know. Maybe there was, like, a lot of air inside. Like,
this is maybe the best Prison Break sequence I've ever seen.
Oh, it's fantastic. I love McKellen's smile as he's killing the guards.
He's just really enjoying himself breaking out of that prison.
Yeah. Now, some interesting things about the people who play Bobby's family.
Yeah.
The actress who plays his mother was also in an episode of Smallville. She plays a cop from the comics. Blanking on who.
Wait, is that Maggie Sawyer?
It is. It's Maggie Sawyer.
Are you serious? She's wearing a wig here. It doesn't look anything like her. That is who that is.
Yeah.
Wow. She's not just in one episode, Shade. She's in several.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she's a recurring character in that show.
There's a whole bunch of Smallville in the middle that I haven't seen. So
yeah, we see Maggie Sawyer from second season throughout. Through like fourth, fifth, maybe even sixth, I forget. But she's never a major character, but she pops up.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. That's cool.
I could be wrong. She might only be in 2 or 3, but I seem to recall her showing up at least through 4.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up and find out, but.
And the funny thing, the actor playing Bobby's little brother, his actual name is James Kirk. I just find that funny.
That is funny. I met this guy once whose first name is Cappen, Cappen, and his last name is Kirk.
That's awesome.
So his name is actually Captain Kirk.
That's great.
I think that's pretty great.
That is really cool.
And your name is Kirk.
Yeah, well, I was a school captain, so I got Captain.
So you got to be Captain Kirk too.
Yeah, I got called Captain Kirk a lot.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think Kirk is a great first name.
It's my father's name, so.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah. That's cool.
So I'm Kirk.
It's even better when it's a namesake.
Yeah.
When your namesake is an awesome name.
Exactly. Yeah. I've always liked my name because no one else really has it these days. It's kind of an old-fashioned name. I met a whole bunch of kids once who thought I was making up my name.
Oh wow, that's funny.
Yeah, they're like, no one's named that. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Well, I'll share the X-Men connection with my name.
You do, yes.
Of course, online I go by Captain Logan.
Yeah.
And Logan, of course, is Wolverine's name. but my real first name actually is James.
Yeah.
And so, I actually have, and again, Logan's my middle name. It's not my last name, even though I use it that way when I write. And so, I'm James Logan, so I actually have Wolverine's full name.
You do? Oh, I'd never thought of it like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm James Logan. I have Wolverine's actual name.
That is so cool. I hadn't thought of that.
His first and middle, because his last name is Howlett, isn't it?
It's Howlett, yeah.
Yeah. So mine and Wolverine's names are the same except for our last.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and my parents didn't know. In fact, I don't think James Logan existed for Wolverine until the 90s.
Yeah. Once again, I'm very fuzzy when it comes to main solo stuff because I don't read any of it. But
I could be wrong about that, but I thought James was made up for Origin.
I think it was in Origin. I think that was
It might have been before that. I really thought it was made up for Origin, though.
It was at least used. It was at least used throughout a comic in that. Like, it might have been mentioned once, but I don't think it was ever his name for an entire comic like it was in Origin.
I lost my mind the first time I read Origin.
That's awesome.
Oh my god. I'm Wolverine. I didn't know that.
Well, the first time I saw a video from you, I wondered if Captain Logan was a reference to you being a Wolverine fan, but I quickly learned that was not the case.
And I have always liked Wolverine, but yeah, it was nope. It's because Logan's part of my name.
Yeah. Once again, I was going to mention this earlier, but I love how the X-Men are just decked out in all this X merchandise, essentially.
Oh yeah,
Wolverine has his X phone from Cyclops' car. He has his big X watch.
Oh, I didn't notice the watch.
Yeah, the watch has giant X's on it.
I think it's really sad that Wolverine gets shot in the head because he retracts his claws.
I think he retracts his claws as he gets shot.
What to watch? I really thought that the idea was they shot when he retracted them.
Let's see.
Yeah. He puts his claw out. Yep, he retracts and then he shoots.
You're right. It's like a split second.
He reacted to it because he thought Wolverine was throwing his because he thought he had knives. So I always thought the idea was that the cop thought that he was trying to throw them.
You're right. I had never got that before. You're completely right. Yeah.
So when the cop hears that sound, he's like, "Oh God, he's attacking."
Yeah.
But it's actually Wolverine trying to stand down.
Yeah. I always thought, when he got shot, they retracted because he was essentially dead.
No, he was trying really hard to defuse the situation, and he didn't know what else to do. He's got these claws.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, that's really interesting.
I always loved that.
Yeah, that's so cool.
These fire effects are wonderful.
Yeah, this real fire, it's great.
Looks great.
It's because they actually blew up a bunch of cars here.
Well, yeah, but there's some CG fire in here too, and it still looks good.
Oh yeah.
When he throws it, it looks
fire
good.
that Pyro's throwing is great.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah. And it's funny. The person who owns this house is actually the woman playing the female cop on the other side.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she plays one of the Air Force people.
Must be weird having something like this shot at your house.
Yeah, could you imagine, especially with the trees there and stuff like that? I would be scared that, stuff was gonna actually get blown up.
Oh yeah, I'd be really worried about what they were doing to my house. That's a nice house.
Yeah.
Don't ruin my yard.
I could just imagine, Clint Eastwood style coming out saying, "Get off my lawn." And
the X-Jet gets a lot more to do in this movie.
It does, yeah. I love the Blackbird. And it looks better.
It looks better. The inside is great.
Yeah.
They kept making it bigger.
Yeah. I also loved that Rogue used her powers for good there.
Yep.
Once again, she's grown as a character since X-Men 1. And it's like this transition that I could see her becoming the sassy, Southern is in the comics.
If only they had continued with it.
Yeah, if the writers of X-Men 3 actually got Rogue, yeah.
I can't wait to do X3 with you. You're gonna burst a blood vessel, and I'm gonna have to call an ambulance.
Funny thing is that me and the Milky Juice guys did a review on, did a commentary on X-Men 3 a couple of months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
well, I guess I don't get to do it now.
No, you do. Please, I want to do it because
okay.
because the thing is that there was 4 of us, so
yeah.
There was a bit of talking over each other at times, but the thing was that watching it, the guys were surprised because there were things that I was saying that I liked, and they were like, "There are actually things that you like in this film."
Well, there's things I like in that film.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
it's just that by and large it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's like there are
part of what's so frustrating about it is the things that work.
Yeah, because it's also there are things I dislike in this film, and I love this film. It's just
we'll talk about some things you don't like in this movie because we haven't done much of that yet.
Yeah, well, it's because we haven't really gotten much to it yet.
Well, we can wait till the scenes. I just didn't want to miss it.
No, that's cool. But
I'm trying to think of something I don't like about this movie. I'll work on it.
Yeah, because it hasn't happened yet, and it's mainly to do with the love triangle. But
Oh, okay. Well, I can mention one big thing, and that is just like the first movie, Professor X kind of gets taken out and doesn't get enough to do. There's that. I mean, like we're talking, and I'm saying that while we're watching him, but I mean, like, yeah, he gets some scenes, but he's isolated again. He's by himself.
Well, and the same happens, but worse with Cyclops.
Exactly.
And,
yeah. And I think it's more of a problem because it becomes a trend. Like I think it's more of an issue even by the third one. Like when I don't think I even noticed it the first time I saw this movie because I wasn't seeing a pattern yet.
Yeah.
And and it's a little bit different with the first X-Men movie because you don't necessarily expect him to be a big part of that, but he's I mean, like he sends his troops out and they go do things, This movie's a little different from that.
Yeah. And also there was a lot more. There's some great deleted scenes actually. About that was the woman who owns the house right there going, "Get down."
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, but there are all these deleted scenes that because at one point you believe that Xavier has broken free. You believe that Xavier has broken out of Jason's illusion. Actually, what happens is he says to Jason, "You don't have to do this," and then Jason takes off his mind inhibitor thing. So you think that Xavier has gotten through to Jason, and Jason has set Xavier free, and then Xavier rescues Cyclops, and then they go to the mansion and it's all empty, and then Cyclops is like, "I'll go find the others," and he walks away, and you see him just fade away, and then you realize, oh no, he's still in an illusion, and then he finds the little girl.
Oh, I'm not sure I've ever seen that.
Yeah, it's on the 2-disc X-Men 2 DVD.
Oh, why did they have to take that down?
Yeah, exactly. They just worried.
I have the double disc, but I don't think I've ever gone through the deleted scenes on it.
Oh, okay. I think they're on the 2nd disc. I don't think they're on the 1st disc. But
oh no, of course. But I'm just saying I've got that. I should go look at it.
Yeah.
Or I may have when it came out, and I just don't remember now. But I have this terrible habit now of not watching all the special features. I used to always do that.
Oh yeah, I always do it. Yeah, commentaries are something I love. Like.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I just don't always get around to doing it these days. My life's a little different.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. And I don't have a family and a child, so I don't.
This is how different viewing is for me. It used to be when I was in high school when new shows would come out, like when I was watching Smallville or Enterprise or whatever it was I was watching, I would always watch an episode twice.
Really?
Like I would tape it, I would watch it the day after it came out, and then just before the next one came out, I'd watch it again.
That's interesting.
Just to keep up and make sure I really knew what was going on with stuff. And I think that's why I have such a good memory of a lot of those episodes.
Yeah, I wish I did that. Actually, that's cool.
I'm trying to do that with Arrow right now, but
yeah, I mean, because I'm not watching Arrow on television. I'm watching it online.
I am too.
Cool. So yeah, now because I have episodes, I should watch them again. But... Yeah, the thing with with the cutscenes with Cyclops and Xavier and the Illusion is that they worried that it was going to be too confusing, so they cut it out. They worried that people would actually think that Xavier had broken free, but I don't know. I think they're not giving the audience the benefit of the doubt there. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, having not seen that, but it seems like something that would have been nice to have. Not that it doesn't sound necessary.
Yeah. It was also, it's funny because one of the writers, really, he likes Marsden as Cyclops, so he wanted to write more Cyclops scenes. So he had, Xavier breaking Cyclops free, and then they cut them all.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Because I've said this a lot recently, but I really think that Marsden gets Cyclops a lot more than what the script allows him, and he gets him better than what the script does, at least of X-Men 1. Yeah.
Magneto's so much fun.
And a little trivia note there, when the film was released, McKellen was filming Lord of the Rings, and they needed to put in the line about when will these people learn how to fly? And James Marsden is a fantastic impressionist. So when the film was released, they had Marsden do this voiceover saying, "When will these people learn how to fly?" And then when they did the DVD, they actually did it with McKellen. But I think that's really funny.
Wow, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you saying that Marsden doing it was in a trailer, or was it in was it in the movie at one point?
It was in the theatrical cut of the film.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
I don't believe you.
From the mouth of Bryan Singer.
Was it really?
Yeah.
But I remember seeing Magneto standing there.
Yeah, it's Magneto standing there, but they hadn't recorded the line.
Oh, so you're saying they did it like an ADR?
Yeah, it was ADR of Marsden going, when will these people learn how to fly?
Well, why didn't they just use whatever recording they had on the day?
I don't think they recorded the line. I think they wanted to add it in later.
But you see his mouth move!
No, you don't. His back is turned.
Oh, I see what you're saying. And then later they came back in and added that extra shot.
No,
we're seeing it there. He says it to Mystique. He looks at Mystique and says it.
Yeah, but their backs are turned. You can't see his mouth moving.
We just saw it. I'm pretty sure we saw his mouth move.
Really? Oh, I'll have to go back and watch
it. Look at it again. Oh, I'm almost positive.
Well, that's interesting then. But they mustn't have recorded sound or something, and always intended to. Maybe, you know what? Because they're shooting in a forest, maybe there was a lot of. Maybe they had bad sound.
Maybe so. Yeah. We're belaboring this. I'm sorry. We just saw it. I'm almost positive we saw him say it, but now I'm doubting myself. Now I don't know.
Yeah, but I just think it's funny that, because like Marsden does a really funny impression of Hugh Jackman. So I can imagine him doing an Ian McKellen one.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's a Jean Grey mind meld!
Ah!
He will have no oh.
That would have been hilarious. They're doing this thing on Young Justice, which I've just gotten into this week, and I've ended up loving. But
okay.
But they do this thing where Ms. Martian is kind of, when she's mind reading people, she's kind of leaving them as vegetables, and
that's not good.
Yeah, I think it would have been really funny if Jean Grey was doing the same thing. Like, you just see Nightcrawler fall to the ground, just like,
She looks around and she goes, come to think of it, I've never tried this with anyone before. Maybe this wasn't the time to start experimenting.
Yeah.
Well, because, that's a power we've never seen her really try before, is it?
We saw her try to do it with Wolverine.
Oh, that's right.
But there's also a deleted scene in X-Men 1 where she says to Xavier, Xavier says to her, like, I think there are safer minds to start than Wolverine's.
So, now we get into one of those scenes that I think maybe you'll agree with me is not the best. I still don't love this whole, thing with Logan being so into Jean Grey with not really a great explanation as to why he's so into her. And that's more of a problem with the first movie.
Yep. And,
just kind of carry it through, and it seems like they think that because we had it already and there's precedent for it, we don't need to actually explore the reasons behind it.
Yeah. And we're also... Wolverine is our lead hero, and for whatever reason, people are completely fine with him trying to steal a woman away from her partner. Like, apparently this is okay.
You mean just like the viewers, or?
I mean the viewers. I just mean, like, people, like, talk about how, Wolverine and Jean Grey is the love story of films, and I'm like, but she was already in a relationship, and we established in the first commentary, we don't know whether Scott and Jean are married or not, but let's just say they're married, for the sake of argument. If they're married, he is stealing a woman, her husband, or at least trying to, and we're apparently meant to sympathize with Logan.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
It definitely is problematic, and I feel like it's one of those things where that's just there so we can get this scene.
Yeah, and, I don't know, Wolverine has pretty good senses. How does he not know that this is Mystique?
I don't understand it.
He smells people, I mean, you could say that he's so enamored with Jean that his senses are kind of numbed, but I don't know, I think that's grasping at straws.
That it is. It is. That's pushing the boundaries of believability.
Yeah. And apparently she can't get rid of her scars anymore.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, unless they were actually there. Like she intended for them to be there.
Oh, I guess that's possible. Did she shift them away before?
No, we haven't really seen her, naked shapeshift.
Right.
She's been in like a tuxedo. And,
by the way, her shapeshifting into Stryker in Wolverine's tent while trying to make out with him is really creepy. That bothered me so much in the theater. I was just like, what does Wolverine have to be? I kind of like that he says Jesus right after that, because that's what I would have said.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. At least Stryker's fully clothed.
Yeah, because with all due respect to Brian Cox, I don't think he'd be a wonderful sight naked.
No, maybe not. Anyway, what else do we want to talk about? I like that Magneto mentions her Rogue's hair there. That's good.
We just love what you've done with your hair.
Can we do a whole commentary one of these days where you're just Magneto?
Yeah, he's one of the other impressions that I'm decent at. But I'm not sure if I've ever said this online, but I auditioned for young Magneto in X-Men First Class.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which, ended up being a character that wasn't in the movie. So it was like, 17-year-old Magneto, and you go from child Magneto to Michael Fassbender in the movie.
Right.
So, and I was like, when I was auditioning, I was like, should I channel McKellen? Or I decided not to, because I knew Fassbender wouldn't be doing that, so.
No, you should have. It would have been great.
Yeah, I should have gone in there and just been like, we're the future Charles, not them.
Vince and I at one point were talking about doing a Batman Returns commentary where he just did it as Max Schreck.
That's awesome. I think Dan wants to do that as well.
Oh man, I think everybody wants to get in on the Batman Returns commentary.
I don't know if Dan wants to do Batman Returns, but Dan is also, like Vince, is also really good at doing Walken.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Oh, but with all due respect to Dan, he's not as good as Vince at it. Vince is amazing.
I remember that video where where Vince was doing, Chris Walken does the DC universe. That was hilarious.
Although, I don't know, I haven't heard Dan do it as much as Vince, so I might be wrong, but I've been hearing Vince do, I think I might have heard Vince do that voice before I heard Vince's real voice, I don't know.
Oh, really? That's really funny.
He does it a lot, or at least he used to do it a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but nobody can beat Dan's Stan Lee impression.
It's so funny how that started, because it was originally me, Coolio, and Dan just annoying Deadpoolzilla doing it, and
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I told Dan and Coolio the story about how it was originally on YouTube, but I don't think it's around anymore, where someone told Stan Lee that Aunt May had been shot, and this is day and all that, and Stan just goes, "What?" And that's how the what started.
Oh, okay.
And, it's actually referencing something that Stan said once. But yeah.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah. We just started saying what like that in our normal lives. It was a dark period for a while.
That sounds magical.
I was in acting class, and I'd have lines of dialogue where it would say what, and I would just say it like Stan, and my teacher would be like, what are you doing? I'm channeling Stan Lee, can't you tell?
I just thought I'd take this in a different direction, I don't know.
What's that line he has in X-Men, in Spider-Man 3? I was about to say it. I guess one man can make a difference.
I guess one man can make a difference.
Oh.
Mine was a bit more of a drunk Stan Lee, really.
Drunk Stan Lee.
I got something caught in my throat there, and it didn't sound right.
I love,
Tobey Maguire.
I really love Hugh Jackman playing Mystique, playing Wolverine. There's something different that he does. Funny. It is so funny.
Well, he has this eyebrow raised the whole way through.
That was exactly what I was about to say. Yeah, it's his eyebrow raise. He's just like, all these men with hands on me.
It's almost as if Hugh Jackman walked in there thinking, all right, think really sexy. What would really, really sexy woman do? I don't know, so I'm going to raise my eyebrow.
I love the smile he gives here as well, as he's about to change. Oh, it's actually more brief than I thought it was.
Yeah, it is pretty brief.
In my mind, it was a lot longer. I haven't said that before.
In my mind.
That was not a joke to say on this channel, and I apologize.
No, that's all right. That's all right. That's right. I enjoyed it.
A big kiss goodbye.
Yeah, Brian Cox must have enjoyed that too.
Yeah, he's blowing a kiss to himself.
To himself.
So good.
He's like, I can't believe all this amazing stuff I get to do in this movie.
Yeah.
This movie really gets a lot done in a short amount of time. I know it's like 2 hours and like 13 minutes. So I mean, like, it's a little longer than your average film, but it's not like Dark Knight or anything.
Yeah. It doesn't feel super long.
It doesn't feel, but it also doesn't feel as short as it is either. I mean, like,
oh yeah,
in a good way, it feels like a longer film, if that makes any sense at all, because it gets so much done. I mean, like, everybody's motivations make sense for most things, regardless of the love triangle.
Yeah.
And when we get to this, the reason I brought this up is when we get to this scene where we're, already in the spillway and everything, it kind of feels like maybe we're in the third act already.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. Yeah, when I said it doesn't feel that long, I meant that in a good way.
Right.
Because it doesn't drag or anything. Like, you'll not ever...
a little over halfway through. This, for another film, we ought to be in the home stretch by now.
Yeah.
Where we are plot-wise, where we are location-wise. Professor Xavier is stuck in his own mind for a long freaking time in this movie.
Yeah, and I mean, we're at like 1 minute 23, and
1 hour 23.
And it's funny because like X-Men 3 is about 1 hour 20.
Oh, is it that short?
Yeah, it's actually really short.
An hour 20.
It might be like an hour 40. I might be a little bit off, but
it's less than 2 hours.
It's less than 2 hours. It's really weird.
Boy. And you know, I hate things like that because with as many characters as it has, with all the complaints people have about that film, it needed to be longer to accommodate all that.
Yep. Yeah.
Excuse me, all that. And I think Spider-Man 3 has the same problem.
Yeah.
A lot of profound similarities in why those movies don't work.
Oh yeah. Which is
or let me say, in what doesn't work about them. Not that they don't have their pluses, but
yeah,
but they're not great films.
Yeah. I love this whole sequence so much. The big reveal that like Magneto is like taking away the door.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Yeah. And the way Mystique says no when Storm asks if you can control Cerebro from here. She's just like, no, shut up.
That's a good point.
She has such sass in the way she says
Why are you talking to me?
Yeah.
You know, you think that everybody wants you to have more dialogue in these movies, but they don't. So, stop talking.
Yep.
And I'm going to take away some of your time for dialogue, and I don't even talk that much, so...
Yeah, I haven't spoken once about why I dislike Storm.
Oh, well, go ahead. You have the floor, sir, and take your time.
Oh, well, if I took my time, we'd probably be here till, Days of Future Past. But, there's just, Storm is just not Storm. And I'm not a huge Storm fan, to be fair. I like her in the animated series, and I don't love her in many other places. It's because she's a lot of fun in X-Men the Animated Series. Like, the cold of the Arctic winds. Like all that.
I love that voice, too. It's great.
Yeah, I love Storm in the animated show.
Well, and that was the one I was familiar with, and that's a lot of why I never cared for Halle Berry in the role, because she doesn't have that presence. Like, she's not... That Storm is so dramatic. And I mean, like, she's stage dramatic.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you enjoy watching her. This Storm... her dialogue is forced. For whatever reason, they change her accent between 1 and 2.
Yep.
And I don't know why Bryan Singer decided to do that, but Bryan Singer is also against anyone not having an American accent in this film.
Yeah, that's true.
Pyro and Colossus for his like 2 lines. It's weird.
Would it be great if he went to Patrick Stewart and was like, we need you to fake an American accent for this film. What?
That would be awkward to hear.
That would be really awkward to hear.
Yeah. And obviously I'm exaggerating when I say Bryan Singer hates accents. Of course he doesn't. But
Right.
But yeah, it's just funny that so sorry, I was going to say about Storm. And Halle Berry just doesn't give a performance that I like. Even from like a performance standpoint. Even if she's not playing Storm, I just don't like her acting in this film.
Yeah.
It's plain, there's nothing behind it. Yeah.
It really feels like anybody could have done it.
Yeah. And I feel like there were definitely...
And she's not a bad actress. I've seen her in other things where I like her.
Fair enough. I haven't yet, but
Well, where I like her, okay, I mean, she's never blown me away, but Okay, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna go this far. This is gonna be the craziest thing I've ever said. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I hate Catwoman. It's terrible. She's better in that film than she is in these.
She at least plays a character in Catwoman.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She at least feels like she wants to be there.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Neither do I. Especially when she's since claimed to cover her own behind that she didn't want to be there. I'm like, what are you talking about? You read the script.
It's not the performance you gave, and that's not what you said in the, in the material for that film on the DVD.
Yeah. Like because she accepted her Razzie Award in person.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, and part of me is like, well, that's kind of, that's cool that she did that. But when you watch the speech, she blames everybody but herself. She literally says, and I quote, "Thank you for Warner Brothers for putting me in a piece of crap movie." And
whoa,
I'm just like, that's nice. You accepted the film yourself. So,
wow. I didn't know that. Well, if I had any respect for that actress, I have less of it now.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, so I that's part of the reason I just don't like Halle Berry. Yeah. And the way she steals screen time from more worthy characters in X-Men 3, just because she's Halle Berry.
All over the place.
Well,
and you know, she was so upset from the very beginning that Storm didn't get enough to do in these movies, and I always wondered if it was because there were things they would have had her do if it was a different actress.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that Halle Berry's a very nice woman, but I don't know her personally, so, you know, whatever, but I just from, you know, she blames other people for Catwoman, and she's a lead actress, and she's not, when we say she's better than she is as Storm, it doesn't mean she's good, so.
No, not at all.
Yeah, cause also I watch her Oscars, you know, her Oscar winning speech. God, it makes me sick. Just like, you're acting as if you're the first African American to win an Academy Award. I'm just like...
Yeah, that's irritating.
Yeah.
What did she win the Oscar for?
Monsters Ball. Which I've seen, and she's good. I don't think she's Oscar good, but, like, there are other performances in that I thought were great, like Heath Ledger's. Newsflash, Heath Ledger was a great actor, but,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, Shades. I'll have to go watch some of his movies.
Yeah, oh, man. It's really good in like, one of his last films. It's really good.
Yeah? Yeah, really?
I spoke over when he was brainwashed, but I liked brainwashed Cyclops. I just thought he was cool. The way he shadows like he was a big villain was awesome.
But it's really sad that he got taken out through most of the movie because of it.
Yeah. I actually always thought that he could have met up with the other X-Men while in the woods.
Oh, yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah, and then while walking with Jean, Magneto, and Mystique, then Stryker turned on his brainwashing thing, and then he attacked them. That would have been awesome.
Oh, well, at least it's still a movie that works even if you don't rewrite it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but I'm with you. I wish they'd done something with him.
Yeah.
What's funny is I never thought that much about how taken out of these movies he was until X3, and I started thinking about it a lot more after I met you and realized that there were fans of Cyclops.
Yeah.
Because I never realized Cyclops had fans. Like, I always liked him, but I just never thought to, like, you know, be a big fan of Cyclops. It just never occurred to me for some reason.
Well, I was recording a video yesterday, actually, and, a problem happened with my laptop and I lost it, but, I'm gonna record it again. It was like this big, I just gave all these reasons of why I like Cyclops, because I get asked the question a lot, and, you know, why do you like Cyclops? Like when I was on your show, actually, and I just wasn't sure how to answer it, when you asked me what is it about Cyclops. So I was like...
Oh, when did I ask you that?
When I was on, Comic Book Late Night.
Oh, yeah.
And something that's funny about that interview, because I was watching it the other day actually, because it appeared in my my related videos randomly.
I'm sorry, I totally forgot we did that. It's been a long time now. Yeah,
I was the first person.
That was fun. Yeah, you were the first interview for Late Night.
Yeah, but it's funny when you ask me how many X-Men comics I have. It sounds like I say 70, but the microphone must have cut out because I actually said 170.
Oh, okay.
So it actually sounds like I'm like, you know, I claim to be this big X-Men fan, but I have like a really small amount of comics for an X-Men fan. And, yeah, I own a lot more than 70, everybody. But, yeah, it's funny. But yeah, when you asked me, what is it about Cyclops? And I didn't know how to answer it because I'd never stopped and actually thought about the answer. And, you know, I've always said that, like, it started in the animated series when the first time I saw him, he was just extremely cool. And, you know, I never looked back. And since then, you know, you know, there are more reasons of why I like the character, but it started with, he was really cool. To me, at least. And, yeah, so, and since then, it's kind of, you know, become this thing where, like, nobody likes Cyclops more than me, so it's become a gimmick almost. But Yeah, it's funny.
Oh, well, I'm sorry if I had a hand in perpetuating that.
Oh, no, not at all. It's just funny because, like, I said in this video that got lost that, like, you know, there aren't many of us who have Cyclops as their favorite fictional character ever. We don't exactly have a club.
Right.
And, yeah.
You know, somebody left a comment on our X-Men commentary and was like, hey, that's not fair. I think I like Cyclops as much as Shades.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't met anyone. Like, I've obviously met fans who really love Cyclops, but like, the thing is that he's not just my favorite X-Men character or my favorite Marvel character or even comic book character. He's my favorite fictional character. And, yeah, there aren't many of us who feel like that.
Yeah. Boy, I don't even know if I can narrow down favorite fictional character ever.
Yeah, fair enough. And that's the thing, I'm so certain that it's Cyclops for me. So, yeah.
This was such a violent fight in the theater.
And it's a more violent fight with some of the deleted scenes.
Oh, is it? You know what? I must have watched that because I actually remember that now.
Yeah, he puts his claws in a place that he shouldn't.
Ooh, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? Why did they film that?
I'm glad they didn't put it in the movie.
Yeah. Like, you don't see it, you just hear Wolverine, and then you hear the sound, and then, you see Kelly Hu's reaction of like, like it'll obviously heal, but it's terrible.
But yeah, this was such a crazy fight when you finally realize that she has the same kind of healing factor he does, because you don't really know it right away.
Oh, you don't know it at all until she finally heals. Like,
and then of course you think, oh well, she'd have to, or she couldn't have those adamantium claws.
Because I mean, she's a cyborg in the comics.
Oh, okay, so you really wouldn't know.
Yeah. I got the sense that she was a mutant when watching the film, because Xavier had that line about, for a guy who hates mutants, you sure keeps some strange company.
Right.
So I was like,
looking at her when he says it.
That's interesting. And I was fine with that. And I actually love this version of Deathstrike.
That's really interesting, because I mean, I know a lot of people were disappointed with it because, you know, kind of like Sabretooth, the real one has history with Wolverine, and you don't get that here.
You don't, yeah. And I thought there was opportunity for them to do that in the Wolverine, but
not now.
Yeah, not now that it's not going to be a prequel, and that, you know, she's kind of dead.
Yeah, I saw somebody write a comment about that today on a video. They were like, I wonder if they'll use Deathstrike. I'm like, did you see X2? I don't see how they'd do it.
Yeah. Oh, that might be someone who hasn't heard the news about.
Oh, maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't know. Yeah. Sure.
Because
that's recent.
Yeah, because I even spoke to people yesterday who didn't know about Matthew Vaughn leaving, and
right.
Yeah. So.
Well, and to be fair, it's not like I sit around all day and just look up news. You know how I find out about stuff like this? Our viewers just send me things.
Interesting. Because I look up comic book movie news. I don't look up comic book news as much. I kind of either Dan.
Oh, by the way, I just gotta say this real quick.
Yep.
When Deathstrike like clunks, oh, that bothers me every time.
Really?
Yeah, it bothers me. It's like she's like 2,000 pounds now, and it hurts my brain. It bothers me. Ugh.
I've always loved that. I've got to be honest.
No. I like it. I just mean it bothers me in an factor, like a gross out factor.
I see.
It's so well done. But like when she starts like when the animanium comes out of her eyes and stuff, oh, that bothers me every time.
When I first saw this film, I didn't realize just how dark it was going to be. And how, you know, we're talking about how the Wolverine and Deathstrike scene is somewhat violent. And, like, when her, you know, there's adamantium coming out of her eyes and her nose, I was just like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah. But it's great.
It's great. Yeah, I love it. And, but I gotta admit, when she clunked, I thought it was hilarious.
I feel bad for her, man. I'm like, oh.
Oh, I feel bad because, you know, you see her eyes turn brown, and you're like, oh, there's an actual person in there. You know, Strike.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. We didn't even talk about that. We don't know anything about that real person.
Yeah.
know nothing about her. That's why when you said you loved her character, I'm sort of like, well, I mean, like, the actress is great and I like what she gets to do, but, like, we don't know that character. We don't know the real person at all.
Yeah, I like her for what they do in the film. Like, obviously, you know, the comic book character is far more fleshed out, but for what they do in this film, I just think she's a cool character.
That's why if they'd wanted to, if they'd done a prequel, another Wolverine prequel, they could have used her.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't, because, like, you know, she wouldn't have remembered anything. Well, she might have remembered, but it wouldn't have mattered because she was under his control. So they would have had to have done it in such a way where Wolverine, like, wouldn't recognize her, or it would have had to have been pre his getting shot in the head with an adamantium bullet.
Yeah. And I always thought that the cast for X-Men Origins Wolverine should have been the cast that they did with the Hulk versus Wolverine animated film.
Good call.
Yeah, I would have had the Weapon X team be Wolverine, Sabretooth, Deadpool, Deathstrike, and Omega Red. And Stryker, obviously.
Isn't Deadpool in that movie?
Yeah, Deadpool's in that movie.
I actually think that movie does Weapon X about 3 times better than Origins does it.
Yeah, me too.
I actually like it quite a bit.
And I'm not at all a fan of Deadpool. And, sorry to those who are fans, I can't read the character. And, but I actually really liked him in that film. I think Nolan North is absolutely hilarious as Wolverine. Sorry, as Deadpool.
You know what, though? Nolan North would be funny as Wolverine. I agree with you.
Nolan North is, it's funny because he was the first person actually to play Deadpool and Green Lantern.
Yep.
But he also voiced Cyclops in Wolverine and the X-Men. And
oh, did he? I didn't know that.
yeah, and I don't like Cyclops in that show because he's basically Wolverine. But I like his voice. He could have worked in other stuff.
He did somebody in Ultimate Avengers, and I want to say it was Hank Pym.
I think you're probably right. Because it wasn't Iron Man, and it wouldn't have been Cap or Thor.
I think it was Hank Pym.
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure myself, but that would make sense.
I don't know why we're suddenly talking about Nolan North, but
yeah, the effect of Magneto moving all the panels is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can safely say that's not something I've ever seen before.
Oh yeah, yeah. I also like this Cerebro 2. It just looks so dark and like something that they made out of scraps.
Yeah.
With a box of scraps. And that shot right there was not subtle at all.
No, it was. I agree with you. I'm sure everyone knows what we're talking about. We don't need to give any context. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
For those not watching the film, we'll let you guess.
Yeah, you just guess. What would not be subtle that we don't entirely mind?
Yes.
Speaking of the thing that we're talking about, do you think that it is enough of an explanation that Mystique doesn't wear clothes because she doesn't feel like they should have to hide if they look different? Because I don't think it's enough of an explanation.
I don't think it's enough of an explanation, really, and I don't like the explanation they give in First Class. Because Magneto says, "Do you look at a tiger and think it should wear clothes?" I'm like,
yeah, because that's like, what, is she a pet? Is she somebody's pet now? Like, what?
Yeah, and the other thing I was like, but she's still a human. Like,
exactly.
I mean, obviously she's a mutant. She's not a homo. Like, she's still a human being. I mean, you don't look at any human beings and say, shouldn't put clothes on that. Like, not in a, you know.
It just seems like I can't believe there wasn't like a women's lib uproar about that. Like,
oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? That sort of bugged me the first time I saw it. I was like, I don't know about that. I think you're going a little far with this, guys.
Yeah, and the funny thing as well is that Jennifer Lawrence is, she's I think like 21, at least when she made First Class. So like you had like a really young woman, being told she doesn't have to wear clothes. I'm surprised that didn't spark all sorts of controversy.
Absolutely. It's kind of strange.
Yeah.
And again, it seems like if they look different enough, people see it as allegory and they don't even pay attention. And I'm just like, I don't know. I think that was kind of wrong of them.
Yeah, I agree.
But again, at the same time, they were trying to come up with a reason, and I think that it's kind of okay to just go, yeah, we don't. I guess we just don't really have one. We decided that's what she was going to look like, and
yeah, that's the thing. I'm fine with it, and not in like a guy way. I'm just fine with that.
Once we start drawing too much attention to it.
Yeah.
It becomes problematic because like when she says that in this movie, when she's like, well, I don't look different because I don't have to. I'm like, but that doesn't explain why you don't put a sweater on. Like okay, you wouldn't change your face and you wouldn't change your body at all, but like you could shapeshift some clothes and look and at least wear clothes.
Well, that's what she does in the comics. She shapeshifts herself a white dress most of the time.
Right.
And I just also want to point out here how funny it was. It's so quick that you miss it, but like Jubilee and whoever that other mutant is are like walking up to Dark Cerebro, and they look down at the dead bodies for a split second, and they're just like, they're like, there are all these dead people here.
Yeah, why don't you guys go into that one room and see the 2-ton dead body that clunked?
Well, the screenwriters of this film, Michael Dougherty and Dan Harris, they did a commentary with Lauren Shuler-Donner, the producer, on the DVD, and they said they had this really hilarious idea that, obviously is what you do in X-Men the comedy, but where when they're escaping Alkali Lake when stuff's about to explode, they go through that room, and Jubilee just looks at Deathstrike and goes, "Mom!"
That's awesome. I gotta say that organ music in the score there is really haunting.
Oh yeah.
And the choir. I mean, I love that they went that Ottman went that far to have this choir of voices yelling out while all the humans are being destroyed. Like, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Or not being destroyed, but being close to. I gotta wonder though, how long does it take to kill all these people with your mind?
Yeah. Well, he's got to concentrate on every single person in the Earth, so I guess a while.
Well, if you want them all to die at the same time.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Yeah,
it seems like you could just be like, I'm going to concentrate on the West Coast first. Here we go.
I will now concentrate on the country New Zealand.
The first person I'm going to kill is my second grade elementary school teacher, because I hated that person. Here we go.
First person I kill is Brett Ratner. And then all problems are solved. That was...
Wow, that was dark. That was old dark shades.
I apologize to Brett Ratner.
I'm not going to apologize because it was funny, and also I didn't say it.
This little girl is creepy.
Is super creepy. She is.
That smile there, it's almost like she's gonna go, like, I ate his liver with some fava beans. I'm making a lot of Hannibal Lecter references in this.
I'm glad. Yeah, they're not lost on me. I'm really glad that we got a little girl that's that good at that. But man, any little girl that age that's that good at that, you gotta wonder about her a little bit.
I'm surprised we.
How do you find that place in your head when you're like 8?
Yeah, well, I wonder if she is anybody now, and I just haven't recognized her because she's much older. But
we should look her up.
Yeah, but I think she's a good actress just from her performance in this.
Oh, she's wonderful.
Yeah, like she reminds me actually of Chloe. I can't think of her other name, but the actress who played Hit Girl.
Oh, you know what? I was going to mention Hit Girl. Good point.
Yeah, because I actually I have famously said how much I dislike Kick-Ass, but I will never say that I don't like her in it. She's very good.
Oh, I didn't know you didn't like Kick-Ass.
Yeah, I actually dislike it quite a bit.
Oh, all right.
But anyway.
Well, Hit Girl's the thing that saves it for me.
Sorry?
I said Hit Girl's the one big thing that saves it for me.
Yeah. It's actually her scenes with of all people, Nicolas Cage are the scenes that I like.
Oh, yeah.
He is hilarious in that.
He's hilarious.
But anyway, I also wanted to say earlier, the reoccurring gag in this that I love is when Nightcrawler tries to introduce himself to everyone. Like he's earlier he says to Wolverine, "In the Munich Circus, I was known as the Incredible Nightcrawler," and he's like, "Yes, save it."
Like, yeah, no one cares.
And when like Cyclops, this guy, he's like, "I am the Incredible Nightcrawler," and then he gets cut off. It's great. It is a crime that Nightcrawler is not in X-Men 3.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, because, I mean, he saves Xavier and everything here. He is on the team.
Yeah, so where did he go? There's just no mention of him at all.
Yeah, and they expected people to figure it out from the video game, actually, apparently.
Oh, really?
In X-Men, the official game, they,
as opposed to all those bootleg copies that were running around.
Yeah, the, X-Men versus Street Fighter, that wasn't a real game. In the game, they say that, because he's a man of peace, he doesn't approve of the X-Men. I'm like, really?
Oh, wow.
It's so dumb.
That's not even a good explanation.
No, not at all.
He's like, I saved all these people, now I'm going to go back to the Munich Circus.
As the Incredible Nightcrawler.
Incredible Nightcrawler.
What's funny about this scene, and this is another random fact that I know, is that they originally were doing this thing where Jean Grey had been blinded by Cyclops after the optic blast. Like, she had temporarily lost her sight. So, in this scene, when all of the X-Men look over at Wolverine, coming up, you'll notice that Jean does not move her head.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Alright. Yeah. It's hardly noticeable, though.
Oh, you wouldn't notice it unless it's pointed out to you. But
yeah,
I just find that really funny. Because Mad Magazine, when they parodied X-Men 2...
what did they do?
Well, one of the gags that they did was that Jean was blind. And Nightcrawler was like, wow, we haven't had a blind superhero in like 3 months.
That's really funny.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Daredevil and X-Men 3 came out within like a couple of months of each other.
Well, I made that point earlier when I was talking about working at the theater.
Oh, you did, of course, my bad. Yeah.
And this was another random factoid with Shades at Night.
That needs to be a show.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great. I'll produce it for you, dude.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
And I'll do that voice, too. And now, a random factoid with Mr. Shades at Night.
And in return, I will introduce Mailbag Day for you.
How would you introduce Mailbag Day?
Well, you want me to do it in like a Mickey Mouse voice? You're like, well, it's Mailbag Day.
Buddy, it's Mailbag Day. I don't know, Shades. I think I can do that one on my own. I don't think I would need. It's like, wow, Captain Logan. I hate your Mickey Mouse. No, that was Shades. Shades did Mickey Mouse.
Every time I see a Mailbag Day video from you, I always say it in my head. It's like, why do
you think Mickey Mouse?
I don't know. We were in some call where you said that would be funny.
What? Mickey Mouse doing Mailbag Day?
No, me doing It's Mailbag Day in a high-pitched voice.
Oh, I don't even remember that. I'm sorry. I was just like, when did you hear Mickey Mouse say it's Mailbag Day? I got that from Brack from Cartoon Network.
Oh, okay.
That's where that comes from.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Cartoon Planet had a segment called Mailbag Day. And it was these singers going, Mailbag Day, hey everybody, it's Mailbag Day.
So anyway, X-Men 2.
That's an homage to that. Oh, X-Men 2. I'm sorry.
I love what Magneto's done to Stryker here. He's just chained him up in the most uncomfortable position.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And Wolverine just does everything he can to make it worse.
Yeah.
When he stabs him and...
I know, yeah. Because, like, obviously Mystique, Pyro, and Magneto are flying away in the helicopter that Stryker was chained to earlier. So they needed to put him somewhere else where he wouldn't get away. Chain him to a wall.
You know, somebody ought to make a map of the traveling dog tag. Where it starts and where it ends. Because that way we can trace its character arc in these films.
Yes. It starts when he's in a whole bunch of wars, and then he throws it to the ground, and Stryker has it, and then he wants new ones.
Yep.
There you go.
That's right.
We also see earlier in that fever dream that Wolverine's having about the Weapon X, we see Stryker go Wolverine, and he breaks his dog tags.
Oh.
He like snaps,
Yeah.
and that's completely different as well.
Yep. Well, and also when we get that little flashback where he like looks at his claws, he's all bloody and everything. It's so much more. That 5 seconds is so much more interesting than the whole segment of that in the movie. In Origins. I mean, because I love this idea that like he looks at his claws and he didn't even know he was gonna have those. And
yeah,
I mean, like I'm okay with bone claws and everything because he could still do that. Like, oh, and now they got these things on him. But still, I don't know. There's so much more emotional resonance there, and you don't even know what's surrounding it.
Yeah, and Jackman is so great in those 5 seconds as well. Just like the pure horror on his face and in his scream,
His character arc in this is all about trying to be more than just an animal.
Yeah,
and that's. And in reconciling, this past that he didn't know about, where that's what he was, and the Origins tries to be about that. There's all this talk about, his being an animal, but at no point does he seem as primal or savage as he does in those 5 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. He just looks at them and is like, where do I go now? Let's jump off a waterfall.
I'm glad we came back to that because I wanted to mention that when it came up and we were talking about something else.
Yeah. I also want to mention right now, this is Cycles being the principal character.
Yeah.
It's funny. They just do it now.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this guy matters.
Yeah. It's funny because from a performance standpoint, not just the Cyclops, Marsden is really great in this scene.
Oh, sure.
And so is Jackman. I couldn't take my eyes. I don't think I even blinked when I first watched this scene. I was just like, what's gonna happen?
Oh yeah, it was a big deal.
Yeah, like they had hinted earlier at the Phoenix, but like not in the way that was super. Like her eyes lit up. That was it.
Yeah, and you couldn't even be 100% sure that that's what they were doing.
Yeah, like it happens twice. It happens when she gets rid of the missile, and that could have. First time I saw it, I just thought I probably just thought that was the fire of the missile that she was seeing or something. And
by the way, how awkward is her talking through Patrick Stewart?
Oh, I know. I wish it'd be so great if she was like, "I love you, Scott." Like Patrick Stewart's like, "I love you."
It's like, how far do I have to go in this scene?
They did a blooper reel of X-Men 2 for some TV show, and they never released it on a DVD, which is really
I just love this Phoenix effect. It looks so good.
Oh, me too, yeah. But they did a blooper reel for this film, for a special for a TV show, and just before the film was released, and they never put it on a DVD.
Oh.
And one of the bloopers is Patrick Stewart leans James Marsden. So funny.
That sounds like something he would do too.
Exactly, yeah. There's this great scene where he's out of control on his wheelchair, and it's just like, ah! So good. It's not, you can't find it anywhere. It used to be on YouTube, but filmed on a camera, so it was terrible quality, but yeah. But yeah, these two actors are amazing here.
Oh, I agree with you. I just wish Marston had been in more of the movie so I'd care more.
Yeah, and it's a shame, because I feel like you begin to care about him here, and especially like I've said, the final scene with him Wolverine, where Wolverine's like, Jean made a choice. It was you. And I'm like, wow, that sets up Cyclops to be a major player in X-Men 3. And Singer was planning to do was have Cyclops blame himself for Jean's death, and therefore they were going to introduce the Danger Room, and he was going to start training the X-Men harder than they ever had been trained before.
Oh, yeah, great.
Which just would have been fantastic. And for whatever reason, the writers decided, well, I know the reason, but like they decided, well, we need to have more screen time with Halle Berry and Wolverine, and we've also got Magneto with a big story here, and we're trying to do the Dark Phoenix and the Cure from Astonishing. So some characters are going to have to bite the dust here, let alone the fact that they're also introducing characters like Beast and Angel. So, yeah, let's kill off characters that haven't really meant a whole lot so far. So they kill off, well, they didn't kill off Mystique, but they took her out of the story, and they actually killed off Cyclops. So,
yeah.
And there's nowhere to be seen. And Rogue is gone for most of the movie as well. So,
well, we'll talk about that when we get there.
Oh, we will, yeah. But I'll say right now, because people will probably comment saying it's because Marsden did Superman Returns. That's actually not the reason.
Yeah.
Because Superman Returns and X-Men 3 were filmed at different times. And as it is, Marsden is not the main character in Superman Returns. I mean, you can't tell me that he couldn't have gotten time off anyway. They could have moved around some scheduling. Because there are a lot of characters in X-Men 3 anyway. So, anyway.
You know what the sad thing is, though? He got more screen time in Superman Returns.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Because he spends a whole lot of time flying helicopters.
Yeah, it's so funny. He basically became like Cyclops when Scarlet Witch changes the reality in House of M. He becomes that Cyclops in Superman. He's this like good-looking rich guy who's a pilot. So great. But yeah, so Hugh Jackman was in about 4 movies in 2006. You can't tell me that James Marsden couldn't have found the time to be in all of X-Men 3, and Hugh Jackman was in 4 movies that year.
Well, yeah, and I have no idea where that rumor came about. It was big enough that I thought that was the reason.
Well, it became a rumor just because it was the most logical explanation. He's in this other movie that's out at the same time. Oh, he must have done that instead. But, like, Hugh Jackman was also doing The Boy from Oz on Broadway. I mean, gosh, could you imagine how much time that took up?
Well, I think a lot of people probably thought that, too, also because it was Singer.
Yeah, for sure.
And they probably thought, well, Singer stole him away.
Yeah, and Singer, obviously, with Marsden so much, and kind of felt guilty that he didn't give Cyclops his due, so he put him in Returns. Not Cyclops, James Marsden.
No, he should have put Cyclops in Returns. It would have been a better movie.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Why is Cyclops flying this helicopter?
I didn't know that James Marsden was going to be in Superman Returns.
Yeah.
And when he appeared, I was like, oh man, it's Scott.
You know, the first time I saw this, I found my mind going where it always does whenever I see like thunderclaps like that, where it's like, oh come on, what are the odds? And I was like, oh yeah, Storm's there, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, why am I dumb?
It's funny as well, not to harp on Cyclops, but he's a much different character in that scene there. Still, Xavier's right-hand man to where he is in X-Men 3. So. Oh,
yeah.
Just more continuity crap, but,
It's just hard to buy that just because she died, Xavier would be like, oh, Cyclops is a broken man, he can't do anything anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't, I don't even kind of buy that.
Yeah, not in the slightest.
But anyway.
Yeah, but, here's another scene where Hugh Jackman's putting all of his Van Helsing hair under his wig. See what I mean?
Oh, you can kind of see it now that you say that, yeah.
Yeah, his hair's just like really tall. I I've always found it really funny what Wolverine's wearing here as well. It's like, I don't know what type of what you'd call that shirt, but like, it's like this like tropical kind of holiday shirt.
That is kind of odd.
And a leather jacket.
It's just all he could find. Well, he probably didn't pack a bag.
Yeah, he's bought clothes along the way.
Does Wolverine own clothes?
No.
Does Wolverine own anything?
That's true.
Does he have stuff? Where does he keep it?
His home got blown up in X-Men 1.
Yeah.
Trailer. That's true. Mm.
Yeah. He kind of lives on a motorcycle that he stole from Cyclops.
Yeah.
And now he doesn't even have that because he gave the keys back.
Yeah. Although Cyclops threw them back to him. He was like,
oh, that's right. Yeah, fill her up. Yeah.
I've always wanted to cut that. I wanted to cut the trailer of like Cyclops actually being the like just like bossing around the X-Men and just showing him like, fill her up, and just throwing his keys at Wolverine.
And then you see like all the X-Men like walking away on like this big important mission. All right, Cyclops, here we go. We're gonna fill her up, whatever that means.
Your bike needs gas. Then fill her up.
I would have cut that with like Data from Star Trek Insurrection. Lock and load. Fill her up. Okay, Cyclops. We don't know what that means, but here we go.
Yeah, it's funny. Jubilee's in that scene there as well, and
there's that mention of Once and Future King you were talking about.
Yes, yeah, it's great.
Really, like, comes up. And again, this is one of those movies that you've got to watch it a few times before you catch stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I would never have
thought that a lot of the best movies are ones that require multiple viewings to catch all the cool little stuff like that.
Yeah, and I like how Famke Janssen's doing the monologue from Xavier at the beginning, but this right here that's about to pop up is like amazing. That moment.
It was a crowd pleaser for sure.
Yeah. When I saw it,
and I love how subtle it is, because if you don't know anything, you wouldn't even catch it.
Yeah. Like I've kind of gotten sort of, just slight chills right now, just re-experiencing that moment. It's
unfortunately X3 killed it for me.
Oh, yeah. Just
like I have a hard time, like I have to try really hard to remember like where my head was when I first saw this.
It's funny because
that experience.
Yeah. It's just the score behind it and just that big choir, and it just slowly appears. It's just like, oh, what a reveal. And it's yeah, if I start thinking about where it went, then, it's ruined. But I mean, like choosing to forget X-Men 3, it's just,
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I mean, you do your best.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem for me and why it's so difficult to forget X3 is because I have a really hard time imagining where else they could have gone with it. I'm not taking up for the fact that they made it a multiple personality thing. 'Cause, I hate that. But, like, could these movies have done the Alien Phoenix?
It's funny,
like, what would it have been? Especially, you get the sense when she repeats what Xavier said at the beginning, that we're not talking about aliens at this point. We're talking about, like, a third stage of mutation.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's what they were setting up as well. Like, and not to plug my own videos, but I did a trailer, but I'm going to anyway.
Well, you see, I did this trailer where we had people talking about filling up motorcycles, and I fixed the whole problem in that trailer.
Well, that's not the trailer I'm going to talk about.
Oh, okay.
I did a trailer called basically a recut of X-Men 3, basically as the Dark Phoenix saga, but not the Dark Phoenix saga of the comics, even though that's one of my favorite comics ever. I was just sort of more channeling, what they set up in this film. And because, they obviously set up that Jean's powers were expanding. Cyclops has that line that, by the way, in the credits there was someone, credited as Dr. Shaw, then Dr. Hank McCoy. That's just so funny to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
I had a high school teacher named Dr. Shaw. She taught Latin, and she was like 75, and she was frightening.
just like Sebastian Shaw.
Like somebody accidentally called her Mrs. Shaw one time, and she said, "That's Dr. Shaw." That's how she talked. She was anyway. Sorry.
I never had any teachers named Doctor in my high school. But, oh well.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I did this trailer, and I basically kind of took it where I would have taken X-Men 3, and yeah, so I don't really have a whole hard time imagining where it could have gone because I spent a good time imagining it myself.
Sure.
But yeah, like I said, not to plug my own stuff, but it's I would say that that's my best video. So.
Oh, cool. I'll have to go back and watch that.
It's at least the one I'm most proud of because X-Men 3 is such a sore subject for me that I managed to turn it into something positive. So. I love this score. I know, but I love it.
Yeah, it's and I don't think I've ever gone on this long talking about score, but it's such good music.
The scores of the X-Men films are interesting to talk about because Michael Kamen did the first one, and I think he did a good job to set that tone. And then this one is excellent. Then the third one is by John Powell, who is a good composer, but I don't really like what he did. I don't like the main theme. I just don't think it's... I think it's... This theme from X-Men 2 is so much superior that they didn't need to change it.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. And in fact, I kind of thought that when I first saw this about the first one. I was like, why didn't they bring the theme back? It was so good. And then I heard and then I heard it. I was like, oh, that's why they changed it. Okay.
Yeah, because John Ottman, who did X2, is really channeling the animated series theme at some points as well.
Absolutely.
And because he's also said that in interviews. He was like, I took the cartoon theme a bit, and I was like, I love you.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I love the animated series theme. With the exception of Spectacular Spider-Man, I think it's the most catchy of the...
Oh, yeah, but you're right. Spectacular is a pretty catchy theme.
Oh, yeah. But it's Spectacular and X-Men the animated series that have the catchiest themes. Because I don't think it's funny, you were talking about this in the Spider-Man 2 commentary, that Spider-Man 2 doesn't have a theme you can hum, and I also don't think that's a bad thing, but it's like I can't really hum the theme of Batman the animated series, for example. It's just kind of da-da-da-da, and then a bunch of so yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You can do a couple bars and that's about it.
Yeah. But I love the Mask of the Phantasm one.
Well, that's the same theme.
It's a bit different because it's like da 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 do 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 do.
Yeah, they slowed it down and they changed some flourishes, but I mean, like she's improvising around the same melody.
Yeah, but it's a large variation on what they did.
Sure.
But I really like Shirley Walker. She's great. But that is the name of the composer, right?
Oh yeah, that's Shirley Walker.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, to talk about the X-Men composers, because I listen to a lot of soundtracks from films, and yeah, so X-Men 3 had John Powell, and it's kind of a little over the top in places. Like
it's pretty bombastic for the material, absolutely.
Yeah, like when Magneto gets the cure, there's this huge orchestra theme, and I'm just like this orchestral theme, and I'm like, that doesn't really fit. Yeah, and then for X-Men Origins, they had Harry Gregson Williams, who's and I really like his score for that film. And then First Class, I'm forgetting the name of the composer, but that's a good score.
I can't remember either, but I think that's the best X-Men score since this film.
Yeah, it's definitely the best one since. Though I don't
know if it beats this one, but it gets real close.
I don't think it beats it, but it is very good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's memorable like this one is.
Yeah, like especially the theme that's called Magneto that they play over the credits. It's like dun dun dun. It's really cool.
So, where does this film fall in your list of best superhero films?
For me, I was sort of saying earlier that this and Batman Begins are kind of my favorites.
Oh, okay, yeah, you did say that.
And people can disagree. That's okay. This is Batman and the X-Men are my two comics. So, the fact that we got an X-Men film that was so great, it really means something to me. And even though, because people are like, how can you say that when Cyclops is so mishandled? It doesn't bother me to the point that I dislike the movie. So.
Yeah, it's like if he had to be shafted that hard, at least it was in a good movie.
Yeah.
I mean, at least there were other characters that you could latch on to. Exactly,
yeah. And it's not like he was shafted to the point where he didn't mean anything by the end, because he did mean something by the end.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. They redeem themselves a little bit with what they give him to do at the end, although, like you said, it's a bit hurried. It's like all of a sudden he takes control. Oh yeah, he is supposed to be the leader, isn't he? I forgot.
Yeah, I mean, it means something if you read X-Men comics, because you don't even think about it then. It's just like, yeah, he's the character you focus on.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, if you're putting yourself in the shoes of people that aren't X-Men fans, they might get confused for a minute. Oh yeah, that guy, I forgot.
Yeah, I mean, like, being an X-Men fan, like, it didn't even occur to me that Cyclops was kind of shafted in X-Men 1 and 2, until I actually stopped and thought about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like, I mean, I was young as well, because I was, nearly about to turn 8 when X-Men 1 came out, and I would have been 2003. I would have been like 11 when X-Men 2 came out. So, I wasn't really thinking about that just yet. So it's because without a doubt, Cyclops is the main character of the X-Men comics. Anyone who argues otherwise does not understand the X-Men.
With the exception of later on when they kind of give it to Wolverine.
Yeah, I mean, they went through a big change in the 90s, and I haven't read a lot of stuff from the 90s because
well, you have to admit that that's certainly not the case these days, and I don't think it has been for at least 10 years.
I would make the argument that he is the main character these days.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I just think that they kind of share it, especially since they split their books off.
Well, since they split their books off, for sure, but I would still say that Cyclops was the lead, even during Matt Fraction's run and stuff.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, because I would definitely say that Cyclops is the lead.
I'm saying that with peripheral knowledge. I've not read all that stuff, so.
Fair enough. But from, it's arguable who was the lead when Morrison was writing it, but Morrison's run. But definitely from Whedon onwards, I would say it's been Cyclops. Like, not that he even appears in every issue. There are some issues in a row when Fraction's writing where Cyclops isn't there. But it's because they're focusing on other characters. And you need to do that with the X-Men because it's such a gigantic cast these days. I mean, especially, when they're focusing on, like, Kitty Pryde trying to get her, her ability back and stuff like that. But, like her ability properly back because she was, like, phasing through everything and she couldn't touch anything for a while there.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I read a couple issues in that part. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, I just read, I know the movie's finished, but,
yeah.
I just read it and I'm so happy I finally got to read it, cause I got it off eBay. It was, a 4-part mini, cycle, and, it's written by Brian K. Vaughan.
You cut out, what's it called?
It's about Cyclops.
Oh, okay.
It's just called Marvel Icons Cyclops. And it's written by Brian K. Vaughan, who's my favorite writer from Y the Last Man. And it's absolutely fantastic. So if you're watching this and you don't like Cyclops, try and read that.
Just before we go, I wanted to bring this back to X2 for a second. I asked you where this fell for you. I wanted to say that the fact that I'm not a big X-Men guy, for me, is a big testament to how good X2 is.
Yeah.
Because I was never a big giant X-Men fan, and this movie is right at the top even these days for me for best superhero films. Would most certainly be within my top 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And as really good superhero films continue to come out, and of course we've had a lot of whoppers since then. It's really tough for me to move it on my list, because it will always have a really important place for me. Because I connected so hard with characters in this film, and weirdly I felt so much for the villains.
Yeah.
And it really, Brian Cox's performance was something I hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
And it left a really important imprint on me. For watching films in general after that. So anyway, I know pretty much I've spent this whole time just gushing over this film. There's those couple little things I don't like, but it's such a wonderful film.
Yeah, this is one of the few films you've given 4 out of 4 on in Rewind, right?
Yeah, and I've done a few. But yeah, this one was a 4 hands down for me.
Yeah. Yeah, even today for me, I'm obviously a bigger X-Men film now than I was when at least a more well-versed one since I first saw this film. But ever since I first saw it until now, it's just been very clear to me that this was the X-Men film that we were waiting for, because Bryan Singer's often said that he felt like he was making a trailer for a second X-Men film when he was making X-Men 1.
Sure. And I love that he said that, because that's how I felt about it when I saw it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think he just knew that, I'm setting all this stuff up and I'll finally get to do the stuff I really want next time. And luckily X-Men 1 was a success that we got.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and this is one of those films that, we had, at this point, we had X-Men and Spider-Man and Daredevil. And Daredevil got mixed reviews, but then this came out straight after, and it was just amazing. So it really helped films like Batman Begins, get greenlit, because. Oh
yeah, absolutely it did.
Yeah, I mean, Batman was in developmental hell for a decade nearly, and.
We credit X-Men, the first X-Men film, a lot for the what I like to call the 2000s onslaught of superhero films. But God, I hope Onslaught's never in an X-Men movie, or I'm not going to be able to say that anymore. But yeah, the onslaught of superhero films, and but I think X2 deserves a lot of credit too, and I hadn't really thought about that much before you said that, because I think that it was very important that the sequel to that movie was a success also.
Yeah, and
so that we knew that we could turn these into franchises.
Exactly. Yeah, it proved that franchises could still work after the large sort of, I don't want to say failure, because it's debatable where Batman first failed in that franchise, but when they wanted.
Well, and interesting that Batman and Superman had the same problem.
Yes.
They really kind of fizzled out.
Sorry, what was that?
I said they really kind of fizzled out.
Yeah.
Now, the difference being, of course, that that Batman, they were trying to keep, up on top, and Superman was just kind of done already. You know what I mean? Like Superman 3 isn't a good movie, but it wasn't a critical bomb or anything. It's just they were kind of done with those. So Superman 4, if it had never been made, we might have not had such, Hollywood might not have had such a, such uncertainty about superhero films.
Yeah, because, I mean, at least Superman 3 made some money, and
sure, yeah.
Superman 4 did not. And when you look
they weren't looking to make any more, and that was just Christopher Reeve going, I want to make this movie.
Yeah, and they clearly didn't have the budget.
Yeah.
When you look at the Batman franchise, I mean, Batman 89 was obviously a giant success, and then Returns wasn't as successful, and, it better reviews than 89, but it was mixed due to how dark and Tim Burton-y it ended up being. And then, once again, Batman Forever was mixed, but it took it in a lighter path that it still made a whole lot of money. And
oh yeah, it was huge.
Yeah, and incidentally enough, got nominated for 3 Academy Awards. So
for what?
I think I can't remember actually.
I didn't know. Were they all technical?
Or they weren't performance, obviously. But,
No, of course not. Of course not. But
wow. It's interesting though, because like people talk about how much of a failure that was. I'm like, yeah, 3 Oscars, not bad. But,
no, it wasn't even kind of a failure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of people now that don't like it, but no, it was a huge success.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm one of the people who absolutely love that film.
And this is another random tidbit from Shades at Night.
Yep. But obviously, it fell off the highest of cliffs with Batman and Robin, but X-Men 2 really kind of restored faith in franchises can work. So.
Well, everybody, thanks a lot for listening to Geeks Not Nerds, the podcast, and we'll be back with you with X3 probably sometime in the next few weeks. And Shades, thanks again for coming back so quick and doing this with me.
Yeah, my pleasure. This was a lot of fun.
I thought it was a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
And we'll see everybody next time. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm ShadesAtKnight.
Thanks for watching.